So, for 30 days, we lived as if we were olden day farmers that went to town once a week. So,
you guys, our kids hated this.
They hated it. But if you forgot something, put it on the list for next week when we go to town. This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Hello, and welcome to episode 92. We are so proud of you for joining us today to work on your relationship. Glad to have you here.
Yes.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, one more word for our listeners. If you've not taken the time to subscribe to our channel, wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, podcasts, that would be so huge for us. First, you're going to get a benefit. You're going to get notified when we have new episodes. We have them on Tuesdays, a full episode. Fridays, a 5-minute Friday. Sometimes that stuff can get lost in the shuffle if you're not subscribed. Also, it helps to have other people have our show up in the algorithms so that they can find it and that they can get help with their relationship. So twofold, helps you, helps others. So if you could take a moment to do that right now, it would be huge.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate that so much. Mm-hmm. Michelle, we are on week 2 of a series that we, that we are tackling the issue of busyness.
Busy.
So, last week, we encouraged you to rip up your to-do list and instead...
Yeah, after my heart had a slight palpitation.
Yes.
We talked through it, though.
Yeah, we did. We got it figured out. We instead encouraged you to create your core 5. Your core 5, those non-negotiables each day that you need to do.
For the purpose of getting your body into a slowing down pace. We talked about how Jesus was never rushing around. He had time to really see people, be fully invested with them, and God worked and did miracles through him in his relaxed posture. Yeah. Or not relaxed, but non-rushed posture.
Right. Yes. So we would encourage you to, if you haven't listened, to go back and listen to that episode, because this week we're going to build off of that. So last week you ripped up your to-do list. This week we want you to create your not-do list.
Okay. So like a to-do list, which you don't have because you ripped it up, but a not-do list.
Yes.
That's cute, Ryan. Yeah, I like that.
This is basically a list of things that you need to stop doing.
Okay.
So what are the things in my life that are keeping me from completing my core 5? What are those things in life that are just, I think of just like robbers in your life, things that are stealing from your time, that maybe just create more busyness, create more anxiousness?
Sure.
What are those things that you need to eliminate?
Yeah, things that are getting in the way of what you should be doing. So if you were asked, what are your priorities in life, would what you're doing reflect that? And if the answer is no, if you're saying, my faith is important, but you're not doing things to grow your faith, then you might need to add some things to your not-do list.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and this is being said out of love, but I think this is really, really important. And I've often heard it said this way, that instead of saying, I'm too busy, have an internal dialogue. I don't think you need to say it out loud, but have an internal dialogue. Instead of saying you're too busy, saying it's not a priority to me right now.
Yeah.
Because that lands very different. See how that feels. See how that lands with you. If you say, I'm so busy right now, instead of shifting that internally to say, you know what, that's not a priority to me right now.
Would they say this to themselves to help filter it through, or to others?
I think you'd want to say it internally, because that potentially could be very,
that is
really, really hurtful.
Right.
But going back to my, my core 5, one of them is faith. And what that would look like is if I'm, if that's a big priority in my life, if that's number one, right? Mm-hmm. Like I need to spend time with God in prayer and worship and meditation. If that's number one, and I'm saying I'm too busy, what if I said that's not a priority in my life?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Because like, I'm too busy to exercise today. Well, no, it's not a priority in my life today.
Yeah.
It lands very different. We've kind of put
We've said that before.
We put this busyness as like this badge of honor that we wear.
Yeah.
And I'm just posing the question of if instead of saying I'm too busy, you said it's not a priority for me.
That's convicting.
If that would land differently for you.
I see what you mean. So it's not saying that as an excuse for not doing something. Like I'm not going to do that because I'm too busy and that's not a priority. It's okay, what's really important to me? And if I'm not doing it, instead of giving myself an excuse saying, well, it's okay, I'm not exercising every day because I'm too busy, saying, well, I'm not exercising every day because it's just not a priority for me.
Yeah.
Like, how does that convict you?
Yeah. It lands very different.
Ooh, that's
for sure.
Yeah. And that I think, Ryan, I love that running it through that filter. And we've said that in seasons too, where we've had, life groups or different things, or even, I'm on a board right now and some people, will make everyone and others will miss. And I've heard that I'm too busy, I'm so busy excuse a lot. But at the end of the day, we've had the conversations. We're all busy. And actually, this is cool, you guys. We just had, for my job, the director of brand strategy and marketing for an NFL team. I won't say which one because it doesn't really matter. And that might, you might love or hate this based on what team, but she's a big deal. And she is a director of marketing for an NFL team. She came, spoke to my organization. And at the dinner the night before, I had the opportunity to take her out to dinner with some other board members. And she said, it is nails on a chalkboard when somebody tells me that they are too busy. We're all busy. I loved that so much. And I think it's so true. Don't tell me you're busy. Everybody's busy. We're busy. We had somebody, say they were too busy for whatever. And they were like, do you want to look at my calendar? And I was like, I kind of wanted to be like, do you want to look at mine? But no, we're all busy.
Right.
Like, don't say that. And first of all, even just saying that to somebody is kind of, like belittling in a way. Like everybody's busy. Whatever you have going on, you're busy. So in your own life, then look at this and say, okay, if I'm not doing it, maybe it's not a priority for me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a priority.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge conviction.
Yeah.
When you start to run it through that filter. And again, I think that's an internal dialogue because it is very blunt.
Yeah.
And it's a real hard, honest conversation with yourself of saying like, okay, these are the core things that I believe in and I'm not doing them. Then yeah, it's a real hard conversation with yourself of like, it's probably not a priority.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, in my life right now, I have these physical therapy things I'm supposed to be doing and I want to do them, but then every day I kind of get into the routine of just the day. I have my core things I'm doing, but I think I'm convicted that, okay, maybe it's not as much of a priority as I think it is. And maybe I need to put on my not do list, opening my phone in the morning before that stuff is done. Because then I'm just getting carried away into whatever my email box. I'm letting my emails dictate where my day goes instead of my core priorities and what's really important.
Yeah.
So I've allowed my emails to be a priority and not my health goals and things like that.
Yeah. That's a good word, Michelle. Yeah. I mean, and that's, again, going back to like, what's the core? What are the core 5? And then evaluating like, okay, what's getting in my way of this?
Yeah.
And I like that you share that, Michelle. And I mean, I think that's really great to be vulnerable to share that again, this is not any judgment. This is stuff that we're working on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And like a week will go by and I'm like, oh, I didn't do any of my physical therapy stuff. Like, how badly do I really want it? I'm letting things go by. And I sit here and I'm like, oh, I'm in this pain. But at the end of the day, I'm not truly prioritizing my healing either. I am doing every week, I'm doing stuff for it. I have appointments and I'm doing supplements and I'm, putting like things on my neck and like I'm doing a lot of things.
Yeah,
so I need to give myself credit. I am doing some workouts, but there are some other areas that I feel like I can prioritize better. And I think, Ryan, for me, when we talked about this and you asked me to just share a little bit about, other things that come to mind, I think is also realizing that if you're going to say yes to something as a priority, you might have to say no to something else.
Yeah.
So for me, I got asked to consider being a nominee on a ballot for a board. And this would be a ministry board. It's pretty cool. It's within our denomination. So just would be a really impactful ministry, kingdom work type deal. And I told them, I had to think about it. I had to pray about it. And ultimately I said, okay, yep, I can be a nominee, but if that happens, then I need to then figure out what I can say no to. And I'm on another board for our HOA, and that's just not, that will no longer be a priority if this other board comes to fruition, because I have to, otherwise something else will slip. If I keep them all, then something that truly is a priority, like, my exercises and reading the Bible every day, all those things that we shared last week, then other things are going to start to slip. And I don't want that to happen. So I realize if I say yes to something or the opportunity or potential of something, I need to have a plan in my mind what I'm going to offload to do that.
Yeah.
And I think too, Ryan, just thinking of our personal story with Ella, last week the mystery question was, advice for raising teenagers. And we shared about our daughter who is 19 and is just really amazing. And I think one no that we said that was not a priority was traveling in club sports. There were a couple of seasons that she did it, but we chose the regional team, not the national, because we knew that we could be back for church or we'd miss very few weekends. It was less than a handful over the course of the whole year. And we've committed to being around at our local church, and that's a priority for us. So she was on a different team because of that. And we said no to that so that we could live out our priority. And I think that for a lot of parents, they've said yes to sports. And I think they would maybe say, our faith is still important, but I think looking at, are you really living it out, or are you just saying it is? Like, really look at your actions and what you're doing, because I would just say for our daughter that made a huge difference to be plugged in every week, local church, being in the Word, seeing the healthy habits, the scripture, biblical habits modeled, and being in this community. She's now in her own young adults life group, and she's living out all the things that she saw as model. And it was never optional for her. She just, as an adult now, she's just done it. Now that we've made her, she's chosen now to do that because that's how she grew up. It was a part of who we were.
Yeah.
So, but we said no to that one thing to make sure that we could say, so we put we put a lot on that do not do list so that we could have the right things in our priority list.
Yeah. And that's that was a hard decision. Yeah. And some of these things, as you look at your life and as you look at, okay, what do I need to take out? There's going to be some hard decisions, but it's a matter of determining your priority. And I can say, I think, looking at this last year, as she's a freshman in college, and everything is different. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of being subjected to a lot of things. And, to look at how she walked through this in her first year was amazing.
Yeah.
And, part of that is, you hit it, Michelle. A lot of this is about, it's, almost as important what you take out of this. Because, you can do all these things and, you maybe have like a 1% chance that your child is going to play professional sports. Mm-hmm. And I love sports. That's not what I'm saying, but is what are you compromising? What are you compromising for it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and not to like go too far down the sports rabbit trail, but for us, I think when we made that choice to put her on a regional team, because she was on the top team. So when we moved her to a regional team, the top team was then the national team. So we by us saying, no, we don't want to be on national, she automatically made like the third level team. So it was a really tough thing. That decision for us to be around in church more automatically dropped her 3 levels down. And it was a career altering, decision. But here's the deal. She had an injury. And at the end of the day, she was able to say, I know who I am. Like, we watched other players go through injuries and they totally lost themselves because volleyball or whatever, football, track, whatever was their identity. But she knew who she was. And that was because all the things that happened, the decisions. So it's making sure that if it's a priority, then you and your kids are able to form your identity in Christ. Right. And that just requires things. It requires community. It requires being in the Word. It requires prayer. There's a lot of things that go into growing your faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spoke a long time about that.
Yeah, no, and again, not this is something of just understanding there's going to be hard decisions as you're looking at, how do I slow down my pace? You're going to have to take some things out.
Yeah, and they're tough decisions. Yeah. And we're speaking out of a conviction that isn't, if this is you and that's your life, it's not judgment. This is our own personal conviction. I feel so strong about it because we saw it play out firsthand. Right. And I was like, praise the Lord that, we had allowed her to have this strong foundation, these opportunities for her to have a strong foundation because she clearly had her priorities in line.
Absolutely. So. All right, Michelle, let me share a couple of mine.
I'm excited to hear.
Just things that I know
on the not do list for Ryan O'Connor
that are on my not do list.
All right.
My number one, and we've shared this before, and but it's a really
safe space, Ryan.
It's a safe space. Screen time is really, I think, for me, like a critical thing. Look, you guys, I love YouTube. I absolutely love it. And I especially love dog videos. I don't know if there's anyone else out there, but there's like one channel that I really like. He does like voiceovers for like dogs. So like they're actually speaking. I just get sucked in.
So he's like commentating their thoughts, right? So this guy is saying what the dog would be thinking, like what the look means or what the bark means. Oh my goodness.
They're just so great. And it's a good chuckle.
I get it. I mean, a good comedic relief.
Yes.
Right?
And again, there's nothing wrong, like inherently wrong with this, but when a screen, whether it's your phone or whatever it is, I think gets in the way of achieving the things that you want to do, that's one of them. And I feel like there are times that like it's easy to get sucked into to these YouTube videos, and pretty soon you're watching and like an hour goes by and you're like, what in the world just happened?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I know this is very lighthearted, but
I think people can relate, whatever the social is, if it's social media or YouTube or even just, videos online. I think people can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to get sucked in, and then pretty soon I'm, watching these videos and I'm not exercising or I'm not doing these things because I'm just like, oh, I'm going to just watch YouTube, And so like that's one that I'm very aware of, and it's it's being very like almost structured to a sense of like, okay, I'm gonna do like I love dog videos, so I'm gonna watch dog videos like here in this chunk of time. It's not gonna consume my whole night. It's not gonna do that.
What is it, Ryan? Will you share with the listeners? So when is that? How do you put the guardrails around it? So it's just in that time? Do you set a timer? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I shared last week. One of my core 5 is fitness, and so typically, like most nights, almost every night after work, when I get home, I go right to working out.
That's true.
And so typically then when I'm done, I give myself like a 15-minute cool off because
I'm smiling because I just realized that's what you're doing in that time.
Yeah, because I'm very sweaty.
You sit by the door like on the rug because you are very sweaty.
Yes. And that's typically my block of time to watch dog videos.
I never knew. I never knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's a structured time.
And it's like you earned it too. You did your healthy habit, and then it's like this little break. But then you're right, it is very structured because then usually it's you're jumping in to help with dinner or you're coming to eat dinner or whatever. Yeah. So it's very boundary centered time.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully I'll stop sweating in that time. And
which is a real thing because if you, maybe other guys can relate. I'm not like this, but I'm sure guys can relate with you. Once you're sweating, if you can't get it to stop, then it will just keep going.
Oh, no,
like all
that's
night,
the worst.
Right?
Yeah, sorry, this is a side tangent here, but there's something about like if you're working out and you like instantly hop in like a hot shower, by the time I'm out of the shower, I'm sweating.
You're still, do you ever stop?
No, and then it just continues.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll eventually stop, but like I have to give myself a 15-minute window to stop sweating. Yeah. So sorry, that's really gross, but
I can't relate, but I know that is a big thing for you. So that's a great use of time. Watch the dog videos, let your body regulate, and then you can get on with the evening.
Yeah, it's structured time that, hey, I got to do this anyway. I might as well like watch dog videos.
There was a really great video recently though that you found that explained so much about our dog.
Oh, yeah.
He's a border collie schnauzer mix.
Yeah.
Sounds really designer. We got him from the Humane Society. He's really special. Like he's super smart, but he gets into our heads and I think he knows it.
Yeah, he's very smart. Incredibly smart.
But the video explained so much.
Yeah, the video was like, oh, you bought a working dog and you like get mad when he doesn't like
when he acts up after having just, a lazy walk around the block. You think that's enough? And then it showed this border collie running across this field and like this motorcycle was trying to catch up to him. And it's like, I got up to 30 miles an hour trying to catch up to this dog. And like, it's just fantastic. So they were going out to herd sheep, I think, or something. And they're working dogs. And
it's amazing.
Explains a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's number one. Screens, I think screens are a big thing on my not to-do list. The other thing that this is a really weird O'Connor story.
Oh boy, I don't know
love it. I absolutely love it because I think
I don't see anything in the notes. I'm nervous now.
No, so it really is about like our nights and how we structured them. And there was a period, I don't know, this was maybe a year or two ago, maybe 5 years. I don't really know. Time's a blur. 1 or 5 years, something like that. Somewhere in there where like we found ourselves, like I love having convenience, right? Like I love that there's a huge grocery store like 3 blocks from our house. Mm-hmm. There's a local drugstore that we go to that you can pick up, some smaller grocery items. Like we live in a city, we live in convenience. And it was, and that's great. I love that. Except for like every night we found ourselves like, oh, I forgot to get this. I'm going to run to the store
Oh,
and
yeah,
get
that's
it.
right. Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, we're out of sour cream for this recipe. Oh, we're out of milk. Oh, you know what? I need some, whatever sunscreen or I don't know. Just
Yeah.
random stuff like that.
But, it was kind of in that we kind of like took a step back and realized, wow, we are wasting a lot of time and we're wasting a lot of money. Because the fact is, you go in a store for one thing. I mean, tell me, if somebody's different, like, let us know. But if you go in for one thing, you're coming out with 5.
Yeah, and typically the local drugstore is not like as price friendly as,
Right. Yeah.
where we would usually go to
Right.
buy things in bulk and
Yeah,
stuff. So
you pay for convenience.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so we found ourselves like, oh my goodness, every single night. I think we were looking at our bank statement.
Yeah.
And it was like debit card, debit card, debit card. Like every day we had gone to this store like 10 days in a row.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
And we were like, what are we doing?
Convicting too, right?
Yes, it was very convicting. So at that point, it's like, okay, this is going on our not to do list. So for 30 days, we lived as if we were olden day farmers that went to town once a week. So
You guys, our kids hated this.
they hated it. But if you forgot something, put it on the list for next week when we go to town.
I think our town day was it like Sunday or Saturday or something?
I think so.
So even though we do literally live within a mile of multiple stores,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, hey, Mom, I need a new toothbrush. Or, hey, Mom, I need this for school. I need folders. Oh, nope. We're going to town on Sunday. Like, put it on the list.
Put it on the list. And so once a week, we'd go to the store. All of us would load in the wagon and go to the store. But here's the thing, like it was figuring out, okay, like this is ridiculous. This is a hard, like convicting thing of like, oh my goodness, we are wasting so much time, and like, if you run, okay, it's 30, 45 minutes.
Right.
And,
right.
Our family time, we're all 4 of us together.
I mean, it's like 2 hours, right?
It's like 2.5 hours. And so if you're taking 30, 45 minutes to run to a store, like you're taking a big chunk of that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like that was one of the things of like, okay, we're convicted. Like, I mean, now we don't do that anymore.
We should do that again for like maybe this fall for another reset.
It was a great reset. But I think it did help us to realize like, okay, like let's get a little bit better at planning meals. For sure. Let's get a little bit better at this to take control of our evening.
Yeah.
So that we could maximize our time because that is a priority.
Yeah.
And so like this is clearly like being lighthearted in it, but there's big truth here in making your priority if it's family time, family connection. Michelle, that was part of yours, family dinner. Okay, then we got to make some changes. We can't be running to all the stores doing this and that every single night.
Right.
It takes a change.
Yeah. Yeah. Even last night, I was going to run out and do some errands. And then I was talking with our daughter and we're like, you know what? You don't work until the afternoon. Let's just all go. Your brother, you, and I will all go. Maybe we'll get coffees or a snack in the morning, make an event of it. We'll go do the errands. And then it wasn't eating into our family time,
Yeah.
So that worked great.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Ryan, great topic for just a slower pace. We shared how Jesus, at the start of the show, just not being so rushed because you're going to miss so much and you're going to squeeze out your priorities. So asking yourself, is this a priority? Take us back to what you shared at the start of the show, Ryan, just as a recap.
Yeah, I think it's that internal dialogue, and I know this hits hard, and this is like internal stuff that I think both of us have asked this question of instead of saying I'm too busy, ask yourself the question of, is this a priority? Because I think that lands very differently.
Yeah. I think even just as we're doing this show, my aha moment about my therapy is like, you know what? I keep saying I'm so busy. There's so much going on, but it's not a priority. So we hope that this has been so insightful for you as our listeners. And just know, I feel like we shared a lot of kind of hard-hitting things today, but it's because we love you and we have been called to just, share this for the purpose of helping you to reclaim and restore your godly relationship in your marriage and your family life. So these things are from our personal walk, and we've not arrived. We're still walking on it, and we just hope that it's been helpful for you to hear inside of our hearts and our household as what we're learning and what we're growing in right now.
Absolutely. So,
thank you for joining us. And we want you to know that we have resources for you at Celebrate.church/marriage. Ryan, hold the show. We did not do our mystery question.
Mystery question.
How are we for time?
We're great.
Okay.
You want to do it? Rewind.
That was rewind for you kids that remember a cassette tape.
Oh, yeah. All right, Michelle, let's hear it.
Now it's just a button, not even a button. It's just a digital tap.
Yeah.
All right, mystery question
Mystery
time.
question
Cue
time.
the jingle. Ryan, what's one of your favorite scriptures for life or marriage, and why?
I have two. I have one that I think is a life verse that I think applies to a lot, and it's Jeremiah 29:11. Mm-hmm. For I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and to, I'm on the to give you a future and a hope.
Yeah.
And I
not
think
to harm you.
To not to harm you. And I love that verse. And I think that's a verse that you can apply to every part of your life. And I think to know that God is for you, God is for your marriage, and to apply that verse.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one is from Corinthians. The love verse. I'm not even going to try.
Love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast. That one.
Yeah, that's the one. I love that verse because of I think I've shared this before, but just that love in that context is a verb, and it's something that you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's, when it comes to relationships, like that's something that I firmly, like all of those things require action.
Yeah.
And I really love that.
I feel like you live that out. You are very against passivity in all that you do. So yeah, that makes sense that would be a verse of yours. Yeah, it's very active. I think for me, it's Colossians 3:17. That's a life verse. So in whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all for the glory of God. That's paraphrased. This is a little bit longer, but and then I think Romans 12, we've been talking a lot about as a family, but just not conforming to the patterns of the world and being renewed by the transforming of your heart. The Apostle Paul wrote that, and he talked a lot about, it's really being countercultural. The world is going to do one thing, and we're seeing that a lot with our son right now. He's going into 5th grade, and there's just a lot of stuff that's starting to be talked about out, in the backyard and amongst friends, and a lot of pop culture sayings and slang and stuff that we're just having to walk through with him, and having really good conversations about, okay, yeah, here's what that means. I'm just going to tell you, that is a statement that is, that's a sexual statement, but you know what, buddy? Like, here's what we think about that. And, that's not really appropriate to be saying. And, and even having those conversations even further about, how are we not becoming part of that? But yeah, so.
Yeah, that's really good, Michelle.
Not that he can't love those kids and be around them, but it's just, he's not going to be saying those statements.
Yeah.
And, and it might come to a point too, where if kids are making poor decisions, he might just have to distance himself from those kids. And it goes back to, what direction are you moving? Are you helping them to be better, or are they pulling you along, or are they pulling you down?
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah. Great question. We are so glad that you joined us today. Like I was saying, If you need help or marriage resources, you can find those at Celebrate.church/marriage. You can find our location and service times, even watch online at Celebrate.church. And we hope you have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone.